All right, so check this out. Currently, over 5.7 billion people use social media worldwide. And despite being more connected than ever, people also seem angrier than ever. It's like every day is starting to feel like some kind of online war. We argue about everything: politics, celebrity scandals, religion. Even a discussion about whether or not you should wear socks with your sandals can turn into an exchange of personal attacks. And here's the crazy part about all of that. A lot of us log on to social media feeling perfectly fine, but then we leave feeling irritated, defensive, anxious, or angry at people that we've never even met. I mean, literally ready to headbutt somebody. But why does this happen, and why do we feel this way? Well, let's talk about it. Also, team no sandals. Nobody wants to see your feet. So I recently made a video talking about how we can defeat hate. And in that video, I mentioned that one of the contributors to the hate-oriented behavior is social media. Social media seems to have a certain effect on us, and part of that impact ends with us being frustrated or angry, and has even turned some people into being hateful. Today, we're gonna talk about why that is, but first, make sure you hit the like button for the conversation and subscribe if you wanna stick around for more. And you should stick around. I'm a pretty nice guy. All right, so let's start off with the first one, and that is that anger keeps you engaged. So here's the scenario. Maybe you start off on social media watching some how-to or DIY videos, or maybe the latest dance trend. I personally like to watch musicians do their thing, but then you end up in the depths of some sort of polarizing topics, whether it's about morality or some celebrity scandal, and you don't even realize what's happening because you're just going from one video to the next. But before you know it, you're upset, you're triggered, you're typing extra hard on your phone. And here's what happens. We see or hear something that triggers a negative emotion, typically some kind of anger or outrage or frustration, and that compels us to comment, to share, to try and correct the content. This is how people end up in those back and forths in the comment sections of a video. And even if you don't react to the video with a comment, a like, or a share, those negative emotions or those negative feelings seem to follow us into our real lives, because once you put your phone down, maybe now you're a little bit more irritable. Maybe now you're ready to give the next person that, does the wrong thing a little bit of smoke. This is why some people tend to insert whatever they're outraged about into the conversation, even when it doesn't make sense. I'm like, bruh, what does your government conspiracy theory have to do with me craving some Chick-fil-A nuggets? You're being weird. But this brings me to the second reason that social media leaves us feeling negative, which is the almighty algorithm. When these platforms notice that you've liked, shared, or commented, or even watched a good portion of a certain type of video, they now want to feed you more of the same. It's what they are designed to do. It's the reason these AI zombie videos keep popping up for me. And I know they're terrible, but for some reason, I cannot look away. So when you watch content that outrages you, you now become a part of the outrage economy, where the algorithm understands that it needs to show you more of the same so that it can keep your attention, so that it can keep you on those same platforms. Social media companies make money off of your attention, and outrage is the fastest way to keep your attention. Angry people comment, angry people share, angry people argue, angry people stay online longer. You are actually teaching a machine what emotionally hooks you and asking it to maximize that feeling daily. And just to add to that, this actually allows us to create our own echo chambers. And here's what I mean. As an example, if I were to watch a video where tipping in America was being criticized, and then the algorithm understood that to be like, okay, this is the thing that keeps them hooked, well, it shows me more of the same of that type of video, the bad side of tipping, which means it knows not to show me the other side, which is the good side of tipping, because it doesn't want to push me off of the platform, right? It wants to keep my attention. Well, now the algorithm has created this illusion that everyone agrees with a certain side of an issue, because it keeps feeding you that same perspective over and over again. By the way, I also made this video up here about why you shouldn't agree with everyone, but you can check that out later. Finish this one first. I need my watch time. Okay, the third reason is sort of related to the last one, where rage is something that people tend to bond over, or it has the potential to create groups that kind of share the same kind of rage. And when I say rage, I mean like outrage. I don't mean like you're going crazy. There's a sense of tribalism that comes with superiority, belonging, and validation that drives people into these groupings. It's easier to get angry about certain topics when the larger group makes it seem normal and appropriate. And that anger becomes less about actual truth and it becomes more about fitting in or belonging. See, anger is often a performance of belonging. When a group establishes anger as the appropriate response, it transforms a difficult and taxing emotion into a rewarding social bond. The truth is, a lot of us wouldn't be angry or outraged about certain topics if it wasn't the popular response. I see this a lot in politics. Okay, this may seem obvious, but we should also talk about how negativity seems to have a stronger pull than positivity. And this is something actually backed by psychology, and it's called negative bias. Now, this doesn't mean that we are bad people who like to see bad things happen just for the sake of bad things happening, right? This just means that our brains are wired to focus on negativity in order to survive. This is sort of related to the lizard brain thing that I talked about in a couple of videos before. It is a real thing. Look it up. That's what I did. And the way this can show up in our regular everyday lives is maybe in a relationship, one criticism outweighs a bunch of compliments that you've gotten. Or when it comes to things like our memory, negative events are more vivid and easier to recall. And with social media, content that is more drama-filled is always going to get more views than the positive ones. Even when it comes to the comment section, one hateful comment can ruin your mood even though you've gotten hundreds of positive compliments. So make sure you leave me a positive comment below. So what social media does is that it exploits our survival instincts. Why? Because like I said before, it's profitable. Okay, this next one kind of ties in with my last video, but when we interact with people online, we don't really see them as human. It's easier to insult and stereotype and dehumanize people when we only see them as a username. For a lot of us, user loving pineapples on my pizza 113 is easier to mock, and we probably should mock that guy, than it would to be if they were standing right in front of us and we knew that their name was Peter. This is why people like Daryl Davis can be way more effective than your strictly online influencer, because he was outside having real life, touching grass conversations with people. It is harder to hate someone sitting across from you than it is to hate someone that exists in a profile picture. Lastly, online anger or hate can feel productive, but that's not necessarily true. Roasting, arguing, clapping back at someone, it feels like action and it feels like it's something righteous. But what's actually happening is that you're not changing anyone's mind. You're only talking to people who already agree with you. And then you're also driving more division than there was before. This is because social media gives us the emotional feeling of solving a problem without having to do the required hard work to actually solve problems. Okay, so what do we do about all of this? Well, first of all, social media isn't evil, but it is important to understand that these platforms are competing for your attention and your engagement. And some of the things you can do to avoid falling into this trap is that if you see a post or a video that just makes you completely angry, wait 5 minutes before commenting. You can also unfollow accounts that thrive on rage bait and understand how to identify that rage bait. Essentially, it's important to recognize when your emotions are being manipulated for engagement, because a lot of the time, your anger is just a product that's being sold right back to you. And if we're not careful, we slowly become shaped by that outrage that we consume on a daily basis. And the goal isn't to stop caring or to stop speaking on the things that you think are important to speak up about, but it is about learning how to engage online without losing yourself or losing your humanity. So now I want to hear from you. Let me know what you think in the comments, especially if you disagree with me. And don't forget to leave a like if you've made it this far. It's your boy K Soul. I will see you in the next video. Peace.